This device wouldn't have come into my field of vision if not for one circumstance. After all, I'm more into audio than video. This video player has a DAC based on the amazing ESS9068 chip. I really like the DACs designed on it. They claim top-notch features for this DAC: DSD 512 and PCM 32-bit 768 kHz support and even MQA hardware decoding. And this means that in addition to playing video, it should do a decent job with sound. So, among other things, I decided to find out how the video player would sound in conventional stereo. Here is the flagship video player from Zidoo, another representative of a galaxy of Chinese brands that have managed to enter the open space of the international audio and video market. I even had a scientific theory about this, the essence of which is that if you see a good logo on a Chinese device, then something is wrong here. So, about my logo theory, Zidoo has a very decent logo. However, just like its appearance, the front panel is minimalistic. It is made of brushed aircraft-grade aluminum. It has nothing but the glass of its one-colored LED display, which mainly shows the playback time and small icons related to the type and quality of the file, so that the device looks like Zidoo stole it from Onkyo or Pioneer. It looks very decent and quite neat. I'm telling you, something is going wrong here. As for the company itself, it's turned out to be a really well-deserved brand. They have been developing and manufacturing such devices since 2014, and they have a team with more than 40% software and hardware R&D personnel. And they have their own impressive production facilities, which allows the company to be also an OEM manufacturer. It looks like Onkyo will be stealing from them soon. Just have a look. The front panel is absolutely clean, but in fact it hides something. It's a pull-down lid, and behind it there are two bays for installing 3.5-inch hard drives, as well as a pair of USB 2.0 for connecting external drives. And at the same time, here is a power button that stands out. It's good that it is hidden under the lid, otherwise I'd start to have eye twitching. In general, you will open this lid approximately never, but we'll talk about that later. In addition to the neat front panel, there is nothing super luxury in the case, but at the same time everything is solid. The top cover is made of bent metal but with a stamped logo on it. The side radiators are made of thick aluminum, everything is done quite well. The rear panel is even more impressive. Two Wi-Fi antennas, an RS-232 connector for smart home systems, two HDMI outputs, the main 2.0A with support of 4K, 60fps, HDR and everything you need for today's video files, and a second HDMI that works on 1.4 standard for multi-channel audio output. It should be connected to the input of the receiver. This is necessary to prevent the video from being sent through the receiver and to forward it directly to the TV with the maximum picture quality. Next, there is an Ethernet port, two USB 3.0 connectors for external drives, which is why I said that you won't open the front lid, because there are USB 2.0, which in other respects is enough to play any video stream, but nevertheless 3 is better than 2. And then the most interesting thing for me, the connectors of its DAC. Firstly, a USB-B input for connecting a computer or external digital transport, then an external infrared receiver connector and a group of outputs: Toslink, coaxial and RCA video output. And the cherry on top, high-quality audiophile RCA and balanced XLR audio outputs. It's not every time you see a video player with balanced audio outputs, right? It's a direct hint, I think. Now let's move on to nakedness. Under its hood, Zidoo is no less interesting. There are independent dual power supplies between the hard drive trays, Impulse 1 for the digital circuit and a linear power supply with a toroidal transformer for the analog circuit of the device. By the way, there is an electromagnetic interference filter just before the power supplies, and a small cooler is hidden under them. When you turn the power on, you will hear how it starts to rustle quietly and immediately stops. This cooler can be forcibly turned off, or vice versa, it can be kept on all the time or turned on automatically. When used, I never once heard it to turn on. From the impulse power supply, the power line goes to the digital circuit board, which is responsible for control, video playback, interface and all that. It houses a Realtek 1619DR CPU, 4 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of onboard eMMC storage. The second power line from the linear power supply goes to a more impressive analog audio circuit board, which features the ESS9068 Aes Dana chip and a multi-threaded XMOS chip processing the USB signal. The board is made using immersion gold technology, which significantly improves the characteristics of the board and prevents oxidation. And hand-picked audiophile components from Elna, Nichicon, Wima are everywhere here. As I said at the beginning, this DAC can handle just about any digital audio format and resolution imaginable. And what's more interesting, this DAC has two femta clocks, one for frequencies that are multiplies of 44.1 kHz, the second one is for 48 kHz. Pretty impressive for a video player, isn't it? But how well does it work? So, in terms of design, this is a really high-quality DAC which could be produced as an independent external device. And it has a lot of settings like a top-end audiophile device, so fine-tuning addicts won't be deprived. As for software part, the Zidoo team did an excellent job. The interface looks clear, it isn't complex, there is a minimum of colors, everything is organized simply and clearly, it is really user-friendly. There are only 5 icons on the home screen: a file browser, a video player, an audio player, applications and settings. By the way, even a fairly extensive settings menu is conventionally divided into sections, so there is no confusion with the settings, everything is very comfortable in this interface. The video player interface is automated. It can scan all your folders, both on connected drives and on any external NAS servers, computers, etc. It downloads descriptions, cover arts, splits TV shows into episodes, and so on. Everything that your library needs, Zidoo does automatically and quite quickly. Everything is a little more aesthetic in the audio player's interface, although I must say that all the necessary tools for navigation, sorting, showing cover arts and even lyrics is in place. All of that is downloaded from the internet as well. To control the device you have two options. It's Bluetooth remote or the phone app. Its remote is a rather strange and controversial thing. On the one hand, it has large, well-lit buttons that you can't mishit, and it will be able to control your TV if necessary. But on the other hand, the remote is just huge, so to use it comfortably, you'll need either the Hulk's hand or you'll need to hold it with two hands like a Jedi lightsaber. There are a lot of buttons on it, and I don't quite understand why there are so many of them and why they are so strangely grouped. Therefore, if you use the playback buttons at the bottom, then getting to the home button in the middle of it, it's quite problematic, not to mention the learning buttons at the top. And it's so powerful, I guess, that it needs 3 batteries. The lightsaber is a powerful weapon, as we know. I don't know, maybe someone will like it, but I don't. I prefer to use the app. The Zidoo Controller App is not a reference, but it is quite normal and certainly more convenient than the remote control in my opinion. It allows you to fully control all the functions from settings to navigation and playback of movies and music. Moreover, if you only need to play music, then you don't need to turn on the TV. With the app you can use it as a full-fledged audio player. As for its capabilities, yes indeed, this thing covers all the requirements in terms of audio and video playback without any assumptions. And since the device runs on Android, you can install different apps like Tidal, YouTube or else. The UHD3000 is pretty fast, it doesn't make you wait long, the response is fine with me. In terms of picture quality, It's really a giant leap over the player installed into my 4K LG OLED TV. This is just another level of picture quality. After I tried to watch movies on Zidoo, I can no longer go back to the TV onboard player. The gap is so huge. Besides, the cool thing is that not only the quality of 4K movies is improved. Everything is clear here. The player is designed for high-quality playback of large files with impressive resolution. But the interesting thing is that it plays regular 1080p content of average quality way better. For example, I have the last concert of the great Texas band Khruangbin in 1080p quality, and this file is much more awesome to watch with the Zidoo than with TV onboard player, that it seemed to be two different files. Advanced Zidoo algorithms working noticeably better at complex color areas, fine details, the overall sharpness of the picture is higher. In general, they aren't comparable. But the coolest thing for me is its audio capabilities. This DAC is really badass. When you watch such a concert and listen to the sound through a good stereo amp and large speakers, it makes show much more exciting. As for the sound of its audio path and the DAC in particular, on the one hand, it is quite technical, it can dump a lot of details on you. But at the same time, analytics and technicality don't prevail here, you don't concentrate on any individual aspects. This DAC is awesome because its presence is almost unnoticed. You hear that the device is pretty decent in terms of the amount of detail in the sound, but otherwise, there is almost no special character or any coloration here. From the point of timbral balance, this is an absolutely neutral device. It doesn't make the sound bright or vice versa sluggish, dull, nothing of that. The bass is rich, punchy when needed, more than enough, but never overdriven or overblown. The middle frequencies are full of details and neutral. You'll definitely hear everything that is in the recording. The resolution at high frequencies rushes to infinity, and at the same time, the sound stays somewhere in between. It's neither warm nor cold, nothing to complain about at all. As for the quality you get, this is not some kind of residual DAC installed there, nothing like that. I was really impressed with its level of detail. It is a really great high-fidelity audiophile DAC. It is absolutely noiseless thanks to a good power supply, very detailed thanks to the 9068 chip. It is really fun to listen to high-quality music and high-res files on it. For example, the psycho-ambient sound of Vincent Villouy, better known as Aes Dana. It sounds complex and multidimensional in high-res. In this music, the space constantly ripples, some sounds flow into others like in 3D, and the high resolution of the recording is easily transmitted into my ultra-detailed electrostatic loudspeakers, so I can hear all the subtleties. If you listen to energetic, full-body, technical rock music like last year's Thunder album, you won't be disappointed either. Whole lotta love-style riffs on the opening track sound strong, fast. There is a lot of energy. The guitars are absolutely clearly drawn. They seem to be right in front of you. And here is a really great separation of everything. Danny Bow's vocals aren't drowned in these juicy, angry guitars, and even the backing vocalists can be identified individually. Everything flies at you at breakneck speed and nothing is lost. And this is the class of the device. Not a single sound of this band hurt my hearing even once. In terms of sharpness, everything ends exactly where the border between comfortable and sharp aggressive sound passes. This balance is what I like most about the sound of this DAC. It goes all the way to everything that is important for a bright, rich, detailed sound, but it never goes beyond the point where it can be too detailed, too sharp or too bright. Absolutely incredible sound quality for a device which main purpose is to play video. And after using this device, I realized that I'm also a fan of good picture now. I have never really bothered or thought about the video quality before, believing that a good OLED display will do everything by itself. But now it has become obvious to me that an external player really does a good job and can give way more quality. In general, I can really say that Zidoo is a truly high-quality all-round device without any discounts on its Chinese origin, with a neat, user-friendly interface. The only thing I'm willing to blame the UHD3000 for is this weird, awkward, outdated remote that doesn't look like a match for this really cool device. Well, and also for the fact that the deck only has a USB input, so you won't be able to connect, say, a CD transfer to it. But that's where the shortcomings end. This thing is a godsend for those who wanted to close several points in their system at once. You get a convenient, extremely versatile device not only with a good, no, with an excellent picture, but also with a strong hi-fi sound that is quite capable of replacing the external audio devices of the low and even middle level. And for many people thinking about some kind of average DAC and digital source, this thing will cross out this question forever.